Hey guys, how's it going? I'm on my weekly trek to work via long distance. I guess these vlogs, I guess I'm going to keep calling them vlogs, but I guess they're kind of now our car chats or something. I think I should come up with like a catchy name for that. Shouldn't everything you do repeatedly have like a catchy name? It should also have a theme song. Maybe I should find a theme song for this. Anyway, it's actually kind of a miserable day, and so I'm wearing a raincoat for two reasons actually. One, I'm wearing a very light colored top, and you know, obviously if I got some raindrops on it, they would be noticeable versus if I was wearing a black shirt of sorts. So I'm wearing my raincoat to kind of protect the shirt from the rain, but I'm also wearing the raincoat as a bib today because I was eating breakfast in the car. And I am notorious for spilling all over myself. Like, you'd think like I don't have control over my mouth or something. And so this raincoat is a twofold purpose this morning, so that I don't show up looking like I put on a bib instead of a shirt going to work. So anyway, something that I wanted to talk about today was this idea of aging and getting older. And how I think we can impact the rate at which that happens. The reason I have been thinking about this in particular, within the next year I'm going to turn 40, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I really do believe that age is just a number. I have this to say about that. At this age right now, I am absolutely in better shape, better physical condition, a better state mentally than I was, say, 20 years ago. I think even 10 years ago. Actually, I'm even going to broaden that, and I'm going to say I really feel like I'm in a position where, I mean, every year just keeps getting better and better. And I have to say that takes a lot of effort. I don't believe that naturally just happens. You know, you have to kind of fight whatever negativity you may have or default to when it comes to the perspective on your life, because it's very easy to kind of default to the negative. And so I talked in a previous vlog about how I think it's important that we choose happiness because it doesn't automatically happen. But that being said, I feel like, you know, in reference to my health, well, definitely in reference to my health, because I didn't start kind of really paying attention to my health and my weight and all of that until about 2006. So what was that, 11 years ago? Prior to that, I was overweight, I was unhealthy, I was making bad choices. And so, although that being said, it is never too late to begin making those, you know, good choices, I feel like I am definitely in a better place right now than I was a bit of time ago, how about we say. And I think that's important, and I'll talk about that in a second. So I'm going to turn 40, and like I said, it doesn't, you know, I don't care. It's just an interesting number. I don't know, maybe I'll have a party. I haven't even thought that far ahead. I have no idea. But I guess, you know, Hallmark makes particular cards for when you turn 40. So, okay. So I'll pay attention to that. So I've noticed I've been making a joke about it and be like, oh yeah, I'm getting up there. I'm going to be 40. I'm going to be in the 4s and no longer in the 3s. And so I've been kind of making jokes about that whenever, you know, hello, me making a joke. Are you surprised that I'm making jokes about this? So some of the feedback and the comments that I've been getting, which is going to be very weird for me to say right here. It makes me actually very uncomfortable, but I can't have the conversation unless I make this next kind of statement. What I've been hearing from people is that they're surprised. They're surprised that I'm going to turn 40 because if at minimum I don't look older than my age, and perhaps I look even a little bit better than my age, and I take that as a tremendous compliment. And it's still really weird for me to say that, to speak about myself in such a seemingly high regard. I'm like, my insides are crawling right now trying to just to kind of express that. But let's just say I can't even say it. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's just go with the notion that that may be true. I don't know. Other people might think I look worse than my age, and that's fine. And I don't care, actually. I'm content with the way I'm looking. I'm not a fan of what's going on right here. I've definitely got some, I don't know, sagginess or something there. I think that was a process of losing weight, and so now my face is not stretched as tightly as it used to be, and so there's a little bit of excess. I've talked about the great divide in between my eyebrows. That's my resting bitch face line. I mean, you know, line between my eyes. I mean, it's a crevice. I mean, there's definitely an indentation up there, but I've got that, what we call the RBF, the resting bitch face, where my natural state, which is so ironic because I really think I'm a happy person, but my natural resting face definitely looks bitchy, and as evidenced by the fact I've created the great divide between my brows. So I am not a professional ager. I am not doing it exceptionally well. You know, some people look like 10 to 20 years younger. My husband's like that, actually. He looks like a baby in comparison to his actual age. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about today was how I feel as if I have had control over the way that I've been aging. And I wanted to, because I've really been thinking about it, because like I said, as I've been making the joke about turning 40, let's say this past year or so, it's just been interesting, like I said, the feedback, and I was evaluating much more whether or not that was actually true. And so I came up with a couple of things that I kind of just wanted to pass along and share with you. So let's start with what I'm not going to talk about today. I'm not going to talk about the importance, for example, of eating right. I mean, because duh. But at the same time, who does kind of all the time? I mean, even me with my weight loss and my focus on healthy choices, there is always room for improvement. And I feel it's important that we make sure that we do indulge and treat ourselves. And so I'm definitely not on an elimination sort of meal plan where I just don't have sweets and I don't have sugar at all. I know a lot of people are kind of into that, not having sugar at all. And I don't think sugar is great for you, but I mean, do I let it into my life every once in a while? Absolutely. I have gluten, and then so the impact of eating right, although it is obvious, I think I tend to follow more of the idea, everything in moderation. You know, you don't want to overdo it anywhere, whether it's salt or fat or sugar or carbs or, you know, broccoli. Nobody really wants to have too much broccoli ever. So, so anyway, I'm not going to talk about the impact of eating right. I'm also not going to talk about the importance of drinking water. You want to know why? Because I don't. Water and me, I'm like oil. See, there you go. I'm like oil, because me and water, oil and water, we don't mix. My body is fueled by coffee. And although that is a liquid and that does do, you know, I'm never dehydrated or thirsty, I recognize that water flushes the crap out. And, you know, what I don't know whether or not it necessarily flushes fat cells out. I don't think fat does not adhere to water. So that's kind of just a little myth that's going on. But drinking water when you're trying to lose weight prevents you from eating. And so that's always a good thing. But I don't drink enough. I know I don't drink enough water. And I definitely don't drink pure water. If I'm drinking water, it's like a flavored water, or it's lemoned. You know, I've added lemon to it or something. So I know it's important. It keeps your skin hydrated. Oh, I wonder if that would improve here. That would be awesome. Oh my God. I think I should start drinking more water. I know I won't, but I can declare right here that I should definitely take in more water. And okay, so I'm not going to talk about drinking more water because, like I said, I don't. The last thing that I am not going to talk about, is the importance of getting enough sleep. I don't. There is no more a guideline that says, you know, you should have 6 to 8 hours of sleep. That was one of those rules that somebody established, and whether it's true or not, I mean, you should definitely get enough sleep. If you find that you're excessively tired or getting sick all the time, I mean, that might be a sign that you're not getting enough rest. But on a regular basis, I'm not sure I get enough sleep. I kind of poop out about 2 or 3 o'clock. Sometimes I take a 5-minute cat nap, which they have decided is actually a decent thing to do. It's rejuvenating your body. Your body isn't mandatory that it stays awake from dawn till midnight or whatever. So I know for a fact I probably don't get enough sleep. I like to live. I've got the comment or the phrase, sleep when you're dead. And I've made my husband adapt to that, because when he would be tired and say, hey, let's relax, let's go to bed, I'm like, no, sleep when you're dead. Life is about living and being awake. So I definitely don't get enough sleep, so I'm not going to talk about that. So there are definitely a couple of things, though, that I've been doing that I really feel like are really making a difference. And so since I started talking about my face and my looks and my little saggy bags and my great divide that I've got going on, I think it's important to absolutely take care of your skin. I mean, it's whether, you know, it starts with skincare. Well, no, I'm not even gonna say it starts with skincare. I think one of the major things that I do every night is I wash the makeup off my face. I do not go to sleep with makeup on my face, because that is a drying agent. It is an aging agent, whether you wear makeup or not. Although I imagine if you're watching my channel, there's a really good chance that you wear makeup, whether it's a CC cream, BB cream, tinted moisturizer, whatever it is a layer on your skin that does not allow your skin to regenerate overnight, the way our bodies need to regenerate overnight when we sleep. And so it's important to clean your face and wash off, like I said, not only the makeup, but also the grime of the day, so that the skin cells have a chance to be at their healthiest. And typically also when you are washing your face at night, you are, I would imagine, following up with a moisturizer. And the moisturizer, I mean, obviously for so many reasons, the moisture alone, it makes the cells on your skin happy. And so if the moisturizer winds up having some, you know, additional ingredients that are, you know, pretty fancy and good for us, I mean, that's even just a bonus. But I think just the cleansing and then the moisturizing is pretty key. And so I think that's where it begins. And if that's all you do and that's all you can do, or, you know, honestly, it's better than nothing. I do think there's something to be said for the skincare that we use. Making sure that we're using antioxidants to protect our skin from the sun, and rejuvenating agents like collagen and peptides that keep our skin, you know, elastic and full and supple and supple. I don't like that word, supple. That's like moist. I think supple and moist are words to be used at on a minimum basis there. Not a fan of that. But anyway, we want our skin to be that S word. Supple. I'll say it. That's the last time I'm going to say it. And so the more, I mean, those are just a few active ingredients that we can use to kind of treat our skin, repair our skin, prolong the health of our skin. And so, for example, I've been wearing eye cream since I was a teenager. I don't know what provoked me at that time to do that. But I'm glad I did, because I feel like the aging around my eyes is pretty decent. And so I will never stop using an eye cream. And I started very basic. I was using the Olay eye serum, I think it was. I've mentioned it actually in favorites videos. I've since moved on to other eye creams, just because I wanted to try other things. But that being said, you know, never too late, never too early, never too late to start taking care of your skin. And so, yeah, I think skincare, our face and our skin, is the first thing that people see, at least decent people. Other people look at your boobs first. That's an entirely different conversation. But our skin is what we present first. And so, in our face, I should say, and the skin, you know, that whole thing, this whole package up here is what people see first. And so I think it's important, if you want to look your best, and I don't think there's anything wrong or shallow about wanting to look your best, and no pun intended, putting your best face forward. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Looking good builds confidence, and when we feel good about ourselves, we can accomplish amazing things. When you're feeling crappy about yourself, there's a good chance you're not really going to accomplish very much, and on top of it, you're not going to feel good about yourself. So I do, and it was kind of one of the motivators for starting my channel, because I really felt like looking good was inherent to our mental overall well-being, because looking good allows us, like I said, to feel good and feel confident. And when you're feeling good, that also affects all your organs, your heart and your blood and all that good stuff. So it all kind of works together in a package deal. So in summary, wash your face and treat it with some active ingredients, and you're well on your way. And so skincare, I think, is one of the things that I have focused on that has helped me preserve myself. Something else that I think has contributed to preserving myself as I age is I am an active person. Now that doesn't mean that I spend every weekend and I go hiking and kayaking and mountain biking and I'm not an active person like that, but I do make sure that I do enough activity every day. Science has told us that kind of randomly throughout the day, so for example 5 minutes every hour or 10-minute blocks of time, is actually even more valuable versus if you only did a 30-minute workout once a day. You know, the reason for that is because you're increasing your heart rate, you're stimulating blood flow and oxygen delivery, not only to your brain but to all of your organs, and your body likes that sort of movement. And so I do a 30-minute workout every day. That is a moment for me of very high intense cardio or strength training, which for its own individual reasons is very important. But then I don't stop there. I wind up making sure that for example, I use a Fitbit, so I aim to get a certain number of steps every day. I don't wear my Fitbit when I work out in the morning, because I don't think that counts. I think I want the workout counts, but I want the Fitbit to give me a sense of how active I've been throughout the day, because obviously that workout in the morning is beneficial, but I focus on making sure that I'm doing something kind of every hour. I try not to go for blocks of time where I am immobile, which initially was challenging for me because I was working an office job. And even right now my job is, I'm more active than I was, but there are still definitely periods of inactivity. And so I kind of have to force it. It doesn't just happen automatically. I know that from what I understand, people with children never stop moving. And you guys, if you wear a Fitbit or any kind of fitness monitor and pedometer or whatever, it's my understanding that if you've got children, you're in like the tens of thousands of steps every day without even trying. And so for me, since I don't have children and my job did not foster regular activity throughout the day, it was important for me that I make sure that that happened. And honestly too, I always feel good. If I'm working at my desk for a period of time and I go for a 5-minute walk even, or a 10-minute walk, or, it all, first of all, adds up, throughout the day. All of those blocks of time add up throughout the day, but immediately following it, I wind up feeling really good or energized, especially like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or so, where I was saying before, I kind of feel like I'm pooping out. It definitely gives me a burst and kind of reinvigorates me for that day. And so I think that activity, and honestly whatever kind of activity you can get, and even if you're limited in the activity that you can do, a lot of times I hear from people where they have bad knees, or they can't walk long distances or whatever. I mean, obviously walking being one of the primary and easy things that you can do, but some people can't do that. And so there are definitely like chair exercises that you can do if you're restricted in your mobility. Working out in the pool, doing something, swimming or whatever, is easy on everybody's joints. Doing even upper body exercises. Your heart doesn't care what muscles you're working out, whether you're working out your arms or your legs. Your heart is just being asked to move and pump and build itself as a muscle. And so there's always something for most. I mean, obviously I understand there are extreme situations, but there is always generally something that you can do to bring activity to your life. And I think it's important that you find out what that is, because the health benefits are just phenomenal at that point. And so I was not always active. Did I just say? I didn't even start being active until about 2006. And now if I don't work out every day, or if I miss a workout day, or I find that I don't get all my steps in, I miss it. And I feel, not that I feel guilty, I'm just frustrated because I'm like, I really wanted to do it. I don't like missing a day. This is coming from the gal who used to tell other people that I was not born with endorphins. You know, endorphins are those happy hormones that runners talk about in particular, but anybody who's active can experience. When you're doing something physically active, your body releases endorphins. And I used to physically tell people, like literally tell people, I want to slap myself. I used to tell people that I was probably not born with endorphins. Why? Because whenever I would move or be active, I was so out of shape that I would feel like crap. And I was clearly, it wasn't because I was out of shape. It was because I was missing an entire hormonal set within my body chemistry. And I used to tell people I wasn't born with endorphins, which is just so ridiculous. Gina, get up off your butt and start doing something so that you don't feel out of shape walking to the mailbox, because that was the kind of situation we were talking about. And so I started very, very slowly. I actually started on an elliptical because that was very easy on your joints, easier than a treadmill at that point. And I used to watch TV series while I was on the elliptical. I started with Sex and the City. I watched the entire series, front to end, you know, beginning to end. I think I watched at that time, this was many years ago, but I watched at that time The Practice. You remember that law show? I also watched at that time The West Wing, which by the way is still to this date one of my most favorite shows. And so it allowed me to focus on something else besides how miserable I was on that elliptical machine for 30 minutes. But it was a finite period of time, and I started looking forward to getting on the elliptical because I wanted to see what the next episode of whatever show I was watching. I wanted to see what the next episode was. So you kind of have to play mind games with yourself a little bit too, but clearly you can tell I am passionate about the idea of being active, and I think that it's incredibly important and contributes so much to your aging process. And I think it, like I said, it invigorates your body and it invigorates your life. And well, I'm just going to keep doing it for as long as I can keep doing it. The last thing I really feel like has contributed to my ability to not age like a hag, I think now goes to kind of your perspective on life and your ability to laugh. Like I said, I've talked before about how I believe that happiness is a choice and that it's important that we choose happiness. I'm not going to kind of repeat that. I'll link that vlog, so definitely go check that out. But I think your ability to not stress about things heavily and not brood about things and not hold grudges, and most importantly actually laugh at yourself and give yourself the benefit of the doubt and have a really good perspective on things. You know, the world is not out to get anybody, actually, if you choose to look for how even a negative situation could potentially benefit you. And that is what I do on a regular basis, because you can take the negative and you can take the bad experiences and you can let them be your baggage and you can let them bring you down. And I don't feel like that helps anything. You know, what's that phrase where you worry about the things that you can change? What's the point in worrying about things that you can't change? You know, focus on what you can control, and there are definitely things that you can control as your response to any sort of negative situation. I was not always a funny person, meaning I didn't always choose to find the humor or crack a joke. And I was miserable. Do you remember I talked in another vlog about how I would give off this like very sad and depressing vibe, which is why I wasn't asked out on a ton of dates when I was younger. I had this awful vibe I was putting out there. And I realized that laughing at myself and laughing kind of at myself with others mentally just gave me this shift and gave me this ability to, that cliche, see the glass as half full. I can't look at things in the depressing sort of manner because it will weigh me down. It will knock me out. If I get on that track, it's difficult for me to get off it, and I don't want my life to be that way, you know, especially considering how quickly how early my father died. You know, we don't know how much time we have, and if we spend what little amount of time we have either worrying or stressing or being sad or being resentful or any of those kind of negative emotions, we don't have a lot of time to begin with. And I choose to make each perspective or each opinion that I have or each emotion, I try really hard to make it a choice, because naturally we want to default to negative thoughts. We are incredibly unkind to ourselves on a regular basis if we let it happen. And so the reason I say this is because when we are not in our happy place, let's say, our body responds to that. You know, you get worry lines and you release cortisol, which makes you, you know, hold on to weight, makes you either gain weight or not actually lose weight. Cortisol is a mean hormone. And, you know, the more that we're laughing, the more that we're trying to be positive. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not run around singing about rainbows and sunshine and unicorns and all that kind of stuff. I refuse to be one of those happy peppy people, you know, the ones that are so excited all the time, that kind of make you want to slap them as well. But like I said, in the same way with food, I think, you know, everything in moderation. And I'm just making a point, and have been since I was young, since I experienced that time where I was depressed. I was mildly depressed, and it was an awful time. It was draining and hard to do anything. And P.S., that was a mild depression. Could I have benefited from some medication at the time? Possibly, but I was too young to even think about seeking it out. I do think that depression sometimes is not within our control, and that many people do struggle with that. I mean, I'm a licensed social worker, so clearly I understand the nature of depression, and I don't think it's possible for, you know, everybody to just turn it off. And like I said, there might be, you know, you might need therapy or medication or whatever the case is. And so I'm not trying to make light of that in any way. But that being said, for the rest of us who don't have, you know, a diagnosis of, you know, clinical depression, we have a lot in our control. And the more that we, like I said, choose to laugh, choose to have the better versus the worst perspective, it shows all over our face. And our bodies respond to that as well. A happy body, a happy mind is a happy body. And I think that has definitely contributed to my ability, like I said, to not age like a hag. And I could go on about that topic of conversation for a really long time, but I won't. So take from that what you will and interpret that how you choose. And so, oh my gosh, this is so long. And I was thinking to myself when I started, I don't really have a lot to say, but maybe that's good. I'll give them a short vlog this week. Oh my gosh. So that's kind of my perspective. I'm curious, what are you doing to make sure that you're basically just doing the best you can to kind of get through this life looking as good as you can and feeling as good as you can? I don't know. That's just kind of my thing. And I don't know. I feel like it's kind of working. So, I don't know. Maybe once I turn 40, there's going to be a flip of the switch and I'm going to look quite witch-like at that point. I'd like to think not, but you know, hey, anything is possible. So anyway, thanks for spending your time with me. Please give me your thoughts below. Tell me what you think. And, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next one.